Hey guys, welcome back to Soul Sisters. I'm Nahida,
And I'm Nadia.
and today we're gonna be talking about something special. Specifically overthinking, which we might have like hinted in like some of our previous videos, but this one is gonna be overthinking, and how we cope with it as teens. So yeah, let's get into it. So I feel like overthinking is something that really turns out small and then kind of you build it up from there. Um, I know for a fact that I overthink a lot about academics and what I look like or what other people perceive me to be and things like that. So yeah, do you have anything?
No, not really. You got all of them.
Okay, so like I said about overthinking, like starts off small and builds up. It could be something like texting. Um, I know like a bunch of times that I would get a text saying, "Oh, okay," with a little period, and we all know that those texts can come out as very much, "Oh, are you mad at me?" or "Did I do something wrong?" So I know for a fact that I overthink a lot when it comes to things like that, or when I see a bit of like attitude while texting, and I'm just start overthinking about, "Oh, what have I done to like make this person angry?" and things like that. um so also, like when I send a risky message, if you know, you know, and like, oh, you have to reread your message to see, oh, did I say anything that was like, too much? Was it, I don't know, but you just keep rereading it multiple times, just see, whether you sneaked in a little something that you must delete. um so I would say like why we overthink a lot, why teens I would say mainly overthink a lot, is because we're just so used to like, oh, the idea of we're supposed to act a certain way or do certain things
Mm,
and things like that. So now why we like overthink a lot is we really want to fit into that category of being perfect. So we start overthinking, maybe I should be a little laid back in the messages. Maybe I was too much in person. Next time when I see them, I'm going to be a little bit more quiet and
yeah.
reserved. Yeah. So another point I want to make is that why we overthink would be fully on the idea that we don't want to be misunderstood or like judged wrongly, you know? Um Yeah, so we just have like a lot of expectations, and everything just suddenly feels like it's being blown out of proportion, or everything we say or do or think is like a big deal. You can even see that with parents and stuff.
Yeah.
Um yeah, and another point that I actually have here that I think is really good is we tend to overthink a lot because we compare ourselves to others. We compare ourselves to how they act,
How they
how they
look,
look, what is their friendship like standard
dynamic
is with
is.
other people.
Yeah.
So that kind of draws back from what we believe is our own uniqueness and what makes us different from other people. And how do we like how do we think overthinking affects us as teenagers, coming from a teenage point of view? Now a lot of adults would be like, oh, you kids nowadays, you have a lot of attitude, this and that. So how do you think overthinking affects us?
It affects us in a lot of ways. Like, it really messes up, like, our whole view, our mindset on things, and, like, how we interact with certain people. And just also how we view ourselves. It affects like a lot of things. Like, you can like overthink in your like academics, in friendships and relationships with people, and how like I said, how you view yourself. Like, I think we talked about this or I brought this up in the last video, but like I remember I said something like along the lines of like how like when you go out or when you put on something and you think it looks good, but then you go out and then like all of a sudden you think everyone's judging you for the way you're dressing. That like also like ties, that literally is overthinking. And so I feel like it really affects us a lot, and like kind of like brings down our like confidence in ourselves too. And yeah, so
So yeah, I would like also resonate with that a lot. I would also say that it ruins your mood and your outlook on, I would say, life in general. Your outlook on, your friends. You might think, oh, maybe like every little message that they send, there's a bit of, you know, shade to it. Or yeah, like it really does affect friendships too, like what I just said about that. It affects relationships with family members, relationships with personal relationships, and also yourself. So overthinking can just like overall just ruin your mood. um one minute you might be all happy, like nothing really happened, and you're just like upset because of that one text that your friend sent to you, and it's like, okay, with the period, so now you're upset because you think that she's now mad at you, or there's some shade into the messages. um So, like I said about affecting your friendships, you assume things that aren't even true about like that text message, for example. Or if you see, let me just bring in a little like example here. If you see like, oh, your crush talking to someone, it might be a big thing, like, oh, maybe they're dating, or maybe he likes her. So it just kind of ruins your mood for the rest of the day, because that's all you're thinking about. Oh, does this guy like him,
yeah.
like her back, this and that. Oh, are my hints like all in vain now? Things like that.
And I think like overthinking can also like ruin like friendships too. Not just like affect the way you see things, but it also can like affect friendships and ruin friendships because like you start to like pinpoint and like think and like worry about all these little things in your friendship and start making up problems that aren't even there, and that can like really affect your friendship, and like affect how other people can view you. I'm not saying you should care how other people see you, but I mean in a more negative way. Like if you're just like getting mad at every little thing in your friendship and sees that as like red flag, or your friend is out to get you or something like that, like that really ruins like like the trust and the loyalty and the foundation of that friendship if you can't always trust that person that you are in that friendship or relationship with.
Mm-hmm.
So
So we tend to like analyze, or I guess overthink what someone says to us, or like what their intentions may be, I would say. If someone doesn't talk to you, you think, oh, it's because of what I said. But no, in reality, they're probably busy, or they actually don't have their phone. They haven't even read your messages. So I would say that's where overthinking does affect us, in the aspect of like it ruins your mood. You're just over analyzing things, ruins your friendship in some aspects. Um yeah. So before we get into some more things, we're gonna play a little quick game called Overthinking Moments. Yeah. So let's get into it. Okay, so for example, I would say a specific situation, and we have to say what we think about that situation. I guess, like, is it worth overthinking about or something? Um okay, prompt 1. If they leave you on red, so does that mean that is that worth overthinking about? Like, oh, you think, oh, maybe they hate me, what I said before kind of got to them, or something like that.
I would overthink.
So if they left me on red, it would be like for a specific duration that I would start to think, but not overthink, because we can always catch up. But if they left me on red for like 5 minutes, I wouldn't really care. 10 minutes, I wouldn't care. 20 minutes, I wouldn't care. But if it's now going on for like 2 days and I'm still on red, I will start to think, oh, maybe I said something. They replied to all of your messages dry.
Overthink. That's not even like that because like I don't know, like that's just giving like your vibe is giving you don't want to talk, and like you just don't want to be there, like you just want to end the conversation. So whenever anytime anyone is dry with me, bro, best believe I'm gonna be dry back and just end the conversation because no.
They always send you those. Okay, so this is for Actually, never mind. They always send you messages with the period on it. So for example, like um okay with the period, or with period. It's just like kind of resonates with the dry
It
part.
depends, like it depends, because if it's like sentences and you're writing a period, then that's like fine. Like even though nobody really does that, but that's fine. Like I don't have a problem with it. But if you like start saying LOL period, period, okay, period, that's just weird. Like, you know?
I would personally like overthink with that one, because we kind of connect like using certain, maybe it has to do with the connotation of their wording. If they just be like, oh, okay, period, lol, period, there's no expression, no emojis, no extra letters.
That's not even overthinking for me. That's just
I
like
was just like, I would
plain.
personally overthink to that, because I'm literally here sending you 500 Y's and you're sending me a Y with the period on it or something. I would be like, oh, maybe they're just upset or something. And I'll just kind of drift away from the conversation. I wouldn't even talk to that person again. Like, because I'm not wasting my energy. And then one last thing. When they're laughing and you think it's about you, because they're like constantly looking at you, and like you feel like they're pointing, or they're, it's just negative.
If it's like my friends or something, like I honestly would not think much about it. Like it's not a big deal, right? Unless they like say my name and I hear my name and they're like, but like actually, like I don't really think I would care. Like I'd probably laugh. But if it was like other random people, I'd probably overthink a little bit and then I'd probably forget about it because it's like,
Personally, if it's random people that I actually don't know, like some little people at my school, and they just laughing or pointing and stuff like that, I wouldn't overthink it. I would just be very much weirded out, because why is my name in your mouth, and why are you pointing and laughing and staring at me for no reason? I would briefly like think about it, talk about it with my friends probably, but it's not gonna be something that's gonna be living in my brain rent free. No. So yeah, that little game is finished, and now we're gonna go back into the gist. But real talk here, I personally feel like overthinking is something that us as well, not just us as teenagers, a
it's just
lot of
people in
people,
general.
but mainly I would say teenagers, because they were more exposed to friendship circles, sport, friends, social media. We're more exposed to things like that, new texting apps and things. So we always find like, every single thing that's being said or done or, acted out is coming from a way of like negativity. So we have to
Yeah, and
constantly overthink it.
I'm really big on the social media aspect of that because I feel like social media does play a role in that because like you'll see a lot of different opinions and preferences and ideas that people have online, not just social media, but yes, social media. I mean, so online, and then it'll start making you change your perspective on how you view things or how you think things, and so that can also like afflict or like collide with like certain values or things that you've thought about before, if that makes sense. Like with the friendships aspect, I think we also talked about this in the last video, but I think I remember saying that like, oh, there are certain like stereotypes on how specific friendships or like best friends should be or should act or should do. But then if like one specific friend isn't doing that, you start like overthinking like, oh, maybe she doesn't view me like that or he doesn't view me like that, or maybe I'm just not that type of person in their life, things like that, and you start thinking about stuff that you wouldn't really like pay much attention to, if that makes sense. But like, yeah.
And most of the time, like if you know you're a self-aware person and you know that you overthink a lot, we just have to kind of constantly remind yourself that overthinking just lives in our brain. It's something that just occurs. No one else knows that we're overthinking about this, so how can they change it? That's where communication really comes in part. If it has to do with, your friends or whatever. Well, yeah, I could, a lot of people, but I'm just using friendship as an example right now. If you feel like your friend is kind of giving you attitude in messages or in person or whatever, instead of just overthinking and just eating yourself up for that, maybe communicate. Oh, I noticed that it was a bit dry. Did I do something wrong?
Yes.
Because literally, like I said, overthinking is all in your head. They won't know that you're thinking
Unless
about.
you communicate how you
Yeah,
feel.
yeah.
And if you do and they try to maybe shade it or like be like, oh, this is that, or give like a not really good answer to your like that's satisfactory, I guess. I just say just I don't want to. I know it's kind of easy to say, but don't really think about it. Just say maybe this person just needs space and they're not ready to talk at the specific moment, but you can give them time to communicate when they're feeling better, you know. And if maybe it's something that's conflicting in you guys' friendship, and that person's like contemplating like you guys' friendship, like I said, maybe you just need to give that person time, you know, and just take time apart from that friendship. So,
Yeah. So connecting to like not social media, I mean overthinking is all up in your brain and things like that, communication and things. Along with that, if we don't communicate it, we're literally just causing problems for ourselves and just stressing ourselves out for zero
yeah,
reason.
mind you, the other
if
person's living their best
if
life,
the
not
other
even
party
thinking.
does not know about what's going on and how you feel, or how probably what they did kind of hurt you, you're stressing yourself for no reason. Because if you actually do communicate with them, you're going to be fulfilled, they're going to be fulfilled, you're gonna move on, things like that. um that's what I have to say for this part. So the next part is um learning to kind of take a break from overthinking. Well, you can't really take a break from overthinking because that's more of a neurological thing, but how to kind of deviate from the fact that you're overthinking a lot and it's eating you up and you're just stressing away from it. Learn to relax, you know. um I think something that I'm learning a lot when I feel like I'm overthinking is to always constantly remind myself that honestly it's not that deep. Not everything needs a deep meaning to it, you know. If someone comes at us with like shade that you feel like a shade, you can always communicate about it. If you feel like it has not moved anywhere, relax. Learn to relax, learn to take a deep breath, because it's really not that deep. You're not going to ruin your whole mood because of someone who lacks communication skills, or lacks, what's that word? um
Wait, sorry, lacks communication skills.
yeah, not just communication skills, but lacks I'm gonna come up with the word after because I cannot think. But yeah, and low key overthinking can get you to deep places that you really do not want to be at. And honestly, like sometimes things are just simple. We should just leave it the way it is. If we know
Hmm.
we've tried our best to um talk about certain situations we don't really want to keep in our brains anymore, like, with your friends, remind ourselves that it's really simple. Just take a break from it
Yeah,
and everything.
like she said, like there can be goods and bads in overthinking. Like not everything can be bad. You can utilize your overthinking to like a good point. Do you know what I mean? Like there's certain times when you should know when not to be like when to like calm down, like she said, like, oh, like not everything is like needs to be overthought. I don't know the right word, guys. I'm kind of like, but also overthinking can be good in like certain situations, like in like safety. Maybe this is weird, but for me, like safety, like I'd be paranoid sometimes when I'm walking out at night, but I feel like that's a good thing in certain situations because it's like you not being paranoid that can cause bad things to happen if you're not aware of your surroundings, if that makes sense. So I feel like overthinking is good in specific situations and maybe not so much helpful in others, like the whole friendship and
Like
relationships.
in social
Yeah, and social
situations.
situations. But in more of like safety and awareness and like communication and stuff, I feel like it is like needed, if that makes
And
sense.
sometimes we also need to try and understand that not everything that we feel like people are talking about is true. If we're walking and we see a group of people and you think all eyes are on you, they're talking about you, trust me, they probably aren't. And they're talking about what they're going to eat for lunch.
Yeah, and
Like,
it also like leads to, or it kind of connects to the whole like self-confidence topic, cuz I feel like if you it's more likely for you to overthink less if you have like a little bit higher self-confidence. I'm not saying that if you have self-confidence you're not going to overthink, but I'm saying it is less likely for that to happen, and it will be able to you'll be able to control that more if you do have like
mm,
a higher self-confidence, you know? So just put yourself in a higher standard and a higher level, and think of yourself positively, and you won't always have to think about what other people think about you, you know?
yeah. So connecting to what I said previously, focus on what is real, what you know is facts, not what you assume, what you believe to be true, what's, the stories can be changing. Focus on what's real. Don't overthink on what you're assuming, because if you have not confronted someone, if you have not gotten your clarity, then honestly you're stressing out yourself.
Yeah.
So that's it.
So how about we pick like a little closing phrase again, or a sentence or a reminder for this video. So for me, I would say uh don't overthink that much. Not everyone's always like paying attention to you, and try to have and build that self-confidence so that you feel better about yourself and the situations that you are put in. So, yeah.
My closing would probably be um hmm, communicate what is worth communicating. Let me elaborate on that. If you're talking to your friends, like I will always keep saying, there's a bit of shade to what you assume. Communicate what is worth communicating. You're able to communicate that, and you're able to get an answer, and then your emotions will change based on that answer. You'll know whether, maybe I should take a step back. Maybe I was just overthinking that. She was just busy the whole time. She didn't have her phone. Yeah. This and that. So that is something that is worth communicating. If you're walking past a certain people and you feel like they're talking about you, connecting with her self confidence thing, um, that is
Bro, this
not
is a
worth.
whole like conclusion paragraph. We said like two sentences.
That's something that is not worth communicating one bit. You can, like, just, oh, I was thinking about what I was gonna eat later. Like, communicate what it's worth communicating about. But yeah, that's mine.
So communicate what's worth communicating about.
Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense, but it made sense to me.
Okay. Okay.
I'm out, man. That nigga's tripping.
So we have come to the end of our video, like we said, and don't forget to stay tuned for our next episode. And we hope you enjoyed this one.
Don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe, and know that our DMs are always open on social media platforms, which is going to be in our bio. And yeah, just remember, we are a no judgment zone. Bring in some ideas, topics for us to talk about, and see you soon.
Bye, soul sisters.
You made me wanna go.